Stuart, looking at the picture of Welford Road from the 1970s, that's what it would have looked like when you first came as a supporter, and it had been looking like that for quite a while by that stage.
Yeah, there was pretty much no change in the way the stadium looked between 1909, when the clubhouse was built just down here, and 1999, when what is now the Mattioli Wood stand went up. The rest of it is pretty much as you see it there.
And it looks pretty impressive for a 70s ground, but when you think that most of that had been in position from the 1920s, puts it in a context just what the grand vision was for Welford Road.
Well, yeah, I mean, interestingly, we came here, as we know, 125 years ago, and a guy called Tom Crumby played in the very first game on this, but not for Leicester. He played for Leicestershire in the opponents, because at the time he was the honorary secretary of Leicestershire. He was only 24, but he was. And he ran his own printing business in Leicester. But he went on to become a major player in the history of the Tigers themselves, in terms of he became the honorary secretary for something like 35 years until he died in 1928. And one of his visions was to make Welford Road into an international class stadium. But the amazing thing was, even though that probably saddled us with a lot of debt over the years, the Crumby stand has paid us back many times with the huge stadium we've now got as the fabric for all the big games we've got.
And there's been a lot of development on three sides of there in quite a short period of time.
Absolutely, yeah. When we came here in 1892, we'd leased the ground off the Leicester Corporation, off the council, because the first 12 years of the Tigers' existence, we played on Victoria Park, the public park that everyone knows, for a few years. The problem with it being a public park, we couldn't charge any gate admission. So if we wanted to attract the best teams, you had to cover expenses. So they decided that we would go to the Belgrave Cricket and Cycle Ground. Unfortunately, it was deemed to be far too far outside of the city centre in those days. The committee decided, do you know, we need our own stadium here because we don't want to rent this cycle ground every week. And they put in an application to the council. Before we got here in 1892, and before that first game of the season, they spent £1,100 renovating that little square that you see there. And you think, that's a lot of money in 1892. The ground was completely uneven. There was an 8-foot drop from the top corner to the bottom corner. They levelled all that, they turfed it, they enclosed it with a barrier fence. That was the playing surface. Then they transferred this, I think it was about 1,000, 2,000 seater stand from the Belgrave Cricket and Cycle Ground to where we are now on this side of the ground. A bit of terracing in on what is now the Crumby Terrace there for the first season, and put 4 gates at the corners and enclosed it with a brick wall, and that's your Welford Road. And until 1909, of course, no change in facilities whatsoever on the ground itself.
Yep.
So they used to change over the road. The building still exists over here, what was the Bedford Hotel, and that's not that close really when you think about it. It was a filthy day, and then the stadium stays pretty much as I've described until 1999, and then since then it's gone, wow, you know, and it's just expanded.